What sticks out in your mind if you look back at your entire Hall of Fame career? What's kind of those big highlights for you?
You mean like wrestling-wise, or like just life-wise?
Life-wise, people you met, wrestling, anything that, you know.
I mean, you know, it's difficult to break in anyway, you know, just to get that, because it's not like you know, it's like Major League Baseball where you hit a curveball.
Right.
It's either they, you know, I can take anybody and make them a world champion.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's kind of, you know, to learn the politics and how to play that game is probably the most important thing. But just, you know, to break in and have your first match is pretty hard.
Yeah.
And then from there, you know, like I remember the reason I got into wrestling was I went down to Joe Louis Arena in Detroit where I grew up. Just after I came back from injuring myself playing basketball. I was told I was done playing basketball, and I was like, oh man, I really got to want to find something to do. My buddies took me down to Joe Louis, where we watched, at that time was the WWF. This is so long ago that the opening match was a guy called the Dingo Warrior, who was the Ultimate Warrior, who wasn't even on TV yet. And the main event match was Hulk Hogan. And I watched Hulk, and I watched the reaction he got. The place was packed. And I said, you know what, I think I can probably do this. You know, I said, I can't run 94 feet, but I think I can probably run, you know, 20 feet. That's like 2 steps. You know, and I just remember having that whole thought pattern. Then, you know, 7 years later, we're in Daytona Beach, and Hogan turns heel, and he's in a faction with me, and I'm like, going like, yeah, that's Hulk Hogan. He's with us. So I mean, it's just, there's some irony, you know, to my career. You know, Scott and I leaving on top, you know, and getting guaranteed money for the rest of the guys. I think from a labor-wise thing that really helped them. It didn't help me at all. But I think I've still got that small, you know, black mark on my record every time they send out those quarterly, you know, checks to those guys that get their downside money. But you know, what are you gonna do? Detroit guy, labor guy. Well, you know, it's in my blood.
What was that jump like from basketball to wrestling? Right. So you'd been training for a long time with the Bulls and overseas, and then you come back. And what's the difference in that training?
When you play a sport, you're not entertaining. Like you just like you go through your warm-ups, you go and you play the game. Like the crowd, you never really. I mean, you might hear the crowd if it's a hostile building and you're shooting free throws, you know, something like that. But you never, you know, you don't interact with the crowd. So the difference, you know, between being an athlete and then being a performer in an athletic, you know, state is you have to learn, you know, to interact with the crowd. So I think that was the hardest thing, was just, you know, but you know, I watch guys like Kurt Angle that just were, I mean, his transition to being an Olympic wrestler to just going out there and actually, you know, doing what he did to his being able to be a performer. I mean, his transition was like, because the last thing that anybody that's a shooter is they don't want to be, you know, on their back. And in our business, you have to be on your back. So, you know, to make that transition for those guys, for him and Brock both, was amazing. But they're both two of the better ones that have ever done it. So,
what was it like going from wrestling to then movies, and even like in those early days with like Mutant Ninja Turtles and then Punisher? Because it's a very choreographed thing, right? Doing those fight scenes. But how did wrestling inform that?
The biggest one was like the Punisher, where like I went in and you know, the guy that was the stunt coordinator, you know, said this is what we're going to do, and I'm in this room, you know, the set was pretty big, and I'm like going like, we're like really not using anything in this room, right? So I said, you know, I pulled Thomas aside and I said, hey, I said, you know, do you mind if I walk through some stuff with it, you know, just. And the stunt coordinator, I could tell his toes were getting stepped on. I said, I'm not going to ask for credit.
Yeah. I
said, but this is my scene in this movie. I think I can make it a lot better.
Yeah.
He goes, well, you know, I've been doing this, you know, this the fight coordinating. I said, how many fights have you coordinated in your life? He said, probably 24. And I said, I do that in one. And I said, I do it for 20 and 30 minutes at a time. I don't do a 2-minute fight scene. Right. I said, please, I said, I think, let me do this. So they let us do it. And it ended up being from a minute and a half to like almost a 5-minute fight scene. So, and that's kind of, that definitely comes in handy. But now, I'm old, I'm 58, it's just like, I get these calls and somebody say, well, I want you to read this script. And in the script, I'm running like up and down the cars. I'm like, you got who to stunt me for this? Like, last time when I'm running, it's usually like follows shortly after that is like the alarm goes off and I'm no longer running because I'm now awake. Like my running days are over. So, but the one thing about being on a movie set or a television show from wrestling is like the way you're treated. Like you go into a locker room, and whatever you're at, you throw your bag down. And it is what it is. You're dragging your own bags. Or on a movie set, you're pretty pampered and catered. Yeah. There's somebody asking you all the time, "Can I get you this? Can I get you that?" So, I'll take it. Now I figure like as a senior citizen, like they have to treat you better. Once you get that ARP card.
Well, you've worked with some of the biggest actors, Keanu Reeves and John Wick. Now in Magic Mike movies with Channing Tatum and all those guys. Do you have any special memories from those sets or anything that you really have enjoyed now that you've been doing more movies?
Like as dismal a movie as Rock of Ages was. Like I got to spend a month like with Tom Cruise like all day long, and everybody had always told you all these horror stories about Tom Cruise, and like his handlers are difficult. His handlers treat him like he's a pharaoh, but like Tom Cruise, the guy is just Tom Cruise. We're sitting around one day on set, we were talking football. And he came by and he was just like, in his car, he said, did you guys see the game last night? He sat down, it was like immediately, just like, wow, like everything you hear about, him is just, it's not, it's just, and he was going through that movie was like the divorce movie, like Russell Brand and Katy Perry didn't make it, Baldwin didn't make it out of that alive, Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones almost divorced. He got divorced from Katie, like all during this movie, like everybody's lives are in peril. And I just sat in my trailer and just like keep my wife up home so nothing happens to right? I had to check for half my assets just because I'm on this movie set. But you just some of the guys are just like they get these reputations, like. I remember when Christian Bale went off, like that was like, like everybody said Christian Bale's an ass and all this, then you talk to the people that were on set and said he was carrying the movie, doing 16-hour days, 6 days a week, just like, and he just had like, everybody has a breaking point. And it's just because it's, at one person who just happens to walk in the middle of it, middle of a scene. And gets a barrage, he gets a bad rap. And it's like, I just shot a comedy hour-long comedy show for British TV this summer, and the premise is that a couple from Great Britain with 2 children that are like sophomore and senior in high school buy an RV park in Kissimmee, Florida. And they fly over and they run this and they inhabit, I'm one of the people that live there. And of course this is written from a British standpoint. So like every stereotypical, thing that you can imagine. Like I think every shirt I wear it has something about Second Amendment rights or a gun or, like anytime there's a noise, I've got an AR-15 in my hand. So it's very serious. But at the same time, it was in like, we shot it in an RV park, So we were in the sun, and they had no idea. I mean, they're from Great Britain. They have no idea that it's 100 degrees in Savannah every single day. And there's bugs. And I mean, it's just like, I just went in 2 weeks ago and did the first 3 episodes. I did all the ADR work, all the, for the voiceover and all that stuff. And 90% of the ADR work is because the crickets and insect noises drowned out the actual dialogue.
It's crazy.
So they had to, they had to just basically just take all that sound out and then re-put sound in. So, that was another one of those things that just after 12, 14-hour days every day in that heat, like people just, like crack.
Yeah.
I mean, just,
Yeah. Talking about comedy and football, Longest Yard, I think, is one of those first times that people saw you just like do a completely kind of different role. What was that kind of like working with Adam Sandler and that whole cast of comedic actors?
Sandler's great because he's like, he's a lot like Soderbergh was in Magic Mike. Like there's a script, but then it's like you do, like 1 or 2 takes off of the script for maybe a couple of different angles, and then he's like, anybody want to throw something in? So Adam lets you do a lot of improv. So like 90%, like my character probably had 2 lines of dialogue. But because he let me ad-lib and my stuff made it past the edit, then I got a lot more time, so that was great work with him. I loved it. It was a great experience. It's kind of weird because it was one of those few sets that, like we shot all the prison stuff first. It was like 47 days in Santa Fe, and there's like not any women on set. So it's just like you're in prison. It's like, Courtney Cox was there for 2 days. Cloris Leachman was there for like a day and a half, and it was just like dudes. So they brought in cheerleaders just to make us, I guess, feel like we weren't actually in prison. So strange.
Did you ever have any ideas that either WWE or WCW wouldn't let you go forward with that you thought would have made a big impact storyline-wise?
God, so many times. I think outside the box, I think there's like, I think the wrestling. I remember the other day though, because like one thing I always do when I talk to Triple H is I'm like, please don't start every. I mean, it's like Monday Night Raw. It starts out, a guy comes down, he talks for 1 minute 30 seconds. Halfway through, somebody else's music cuts in. Somebody else's music cuts in. And I said, man, I would just love 1 week for you to start it with a match. And like I think it was 2 weeks ago, like they started, like Cena had a match like right off the bat. And then he had his interaction with Roman Reigns after that. I was just like, see, like that makes a difference because when I DVR something, like I can get through Raw in 45 minutes because I know what I'm looking for because I don't watch it on Monday. I watch it on Tuesday. I go on social media and see what people are what the hot spots are. I just go to that and I watch it. So, but it's hard, Every angle on earth has been, especially since they've had to, they have like this violence code, with like violence in language and content. And I'll sit at my house at 8 o'clock and watch Family Guy and be like, how is it possible that this is on at 8 o'clock and it has full act, but yet their show comes on at 8 o'clock. People, I mean, it's, people know that there's violence involved in it. Like, I remember years and years and years, when my son was 10 years old, which is that's 11 years ago, and people saying, well, what do you think about your son watching? I said, well, this is back when we were hitting people with aluminum baseball bats. I said, I would let my kid watch it. I said, that's just me. I'm not going to, I don't want my son to think that the guy that comes home has, if we have any kind of discourse, he's going to get whacked with a baseball bat. So I said, I don't think he needs to watch me be at work. But once he got to be 13, I took him to the show. I watched him sit in a room with me and Mick Foley, and watched him how we did what we do. You know, how we put everything together, how this show works, and how that guy that's the referee has an earpiece in. And he's talking to us and telling us what the time cues are as we go to commercial break. Like, this is, you know, this is a television show. And when he understood that, then I mean, I think he had a greater appreciation for it than just, you know, Yahtzee, you know, chance. So, you know, but this, you know, it's a very, because there's no competition now too. It's hard to push the envelope, you know. I remember, like, you know, growing up as a kid, there was CBS, ABC. I mean, you know, the 3 channels. You look back, like you watch those CNN things, like the '60s, '70s, and '80s. You know, it was like the '70s. You watch like Nash and those other programs that had, you know, the final episode had, you know, 90 million, 100 million people watching it. Who Shot JR? You know, there's so many. You know, I get offers for. I didn't even know PlayStation had a division of television program, and they're offering like $25,000 an episode. I'm like, and where would I watch PlayStation TV at? Oh, you know, I don't know. You know, just like, you know, I mean, everything. Like Netflix, YouTube's got 30 original programming things like starting. And that's just going to be on YouTube. That'll be for the YouTube subscribers. So the universe just continues to do this, and the pay continues to do this. Because now there's a super saturation. It's just like you want to work, but, you know, in the days of, like, I did Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I was there for a day. I got paid $50,000 to be in one scene. Now, if you work 5 12-hour days to make 12 grand. So that's like the difference between what a guest star was, you know, in '96 and what a guest star is in 2017. The scale is just. So you find yourself sitting at home watching a lot of TV.
You say you're a Detroit guy, and you know, a lot of wrestlers right now is getting older, getting backed up. How do you feel about the union for pro wrestlers? I know in the past it's something that they tried to establish, fell apart. What are your thoughts?
It'll never happen, because, like I said, it's not like you're saying there's nobody else who runs a 4-3 but me. It's just like everybody can, like, you can fill those spots. They may not be filled as well as the person that's in them, but I think the guys that are on the indie scene and have been for 10 years, they'll take that spot tomorrow. Like, you can't, there's no solidarity where, you know, to get a work hours. And the only way you could make that work is you'd have to have everybody on board on Monday when they went, okay, they hit that first opening note for that guy to come out, and he just turn and look at Vince and go, I'm not going out, and nobody else is. That ain't ever gonna happen. Because they'll get rid of everybody. And they'll bring up everybody from the performance center. I mean, it's like, it'll never happen. You know, so it's just like, you can't unionize. There's no health care. We're all 1099s. One of the biggest things is when a guy finally makes money, you say he makes 100 grand. He's on the road, his expenses aren't paid, so it's costing. He's got to rent cars, stay in hotels, eat food. He thinks he's actually making money, and then all of a sudden it's like the IRS says, he's like, what do you mean? Oh, now you're starting your career and you're $22,000 in the hole. You know, so it's just like, you know. Thank God that I got Ninja Turtles in '90, and I've had Screen Actors Guild insurance since then. I've been able to qualify every year and get, but I mean, for me to go to Blue Cross, and for them to say, how many operations have you had? And you say 34. What's the worst? I broke my neck twice. Yeah, we're going to cover you. We're going to cover you for $100,000 a year. It's like, I've been operating on twice this year. Shoulder reconstruction, and I had my knee done. $192,000 worth of surgeries. It's like, so.
Do you have any advice for wrestlers coming up, or do you ever?
Yeah, be an orthopedic surgeon. Fix us idiots. Make the 198. No, if I had to do it over, I was an art major when I first went to college. If I had to do it over, I'd have been pre-med. I would have just used basketball. I'd have been an assistant, graduate assistants after that. I did that for 3 years and get my medical school paid for. Then I'd be an orthopedic surgeon. That's what I would have done. Now looking back,
Yeah.
I probably would have, let's see, I had 3 knee surgeries in college, so I'd have 3 operations. I'd probably be because I've had no slip and falls or anything like that. So, no, it's not a. And as you get older, you know, it's just like every one of my buddies. I was talking to Steve Austin the other day, and he just said to me, he said, honestly, he said, did you think in your mind when you started this, that you'd feel this bad every day? And I said, no. Like, there's never a day you get up and you go, oh, man, like, this is a good day. It's every day you wake up, you're like the first 20 steps you take, it's like you're in somebody else's body. You feel like a RoboCop. You see your head in the mirror, but it's like the RoboCops, man. When you get in the shower, and I've got one of those steam showers. I shut the steam shower, and I sit there, and I've got a big teak bench that I sit on, and I stretch. I don't do my yoga, but I stretch. And I go to the gym, and once I go to the gym, and I get that, you know, when I go to the gym and work out, I feel good until about 5:30. Then slowly I turn back into the 10 man and just. So no, it's no off season, 300 days a year.
Yeah.
You know, when you do it for 30 years, it just. And it's not like they ever pay you. As retarded as this sounds, like you think, in your mind when you're 21 years old, somebody says to you, you'll make $3.5 million in 1 year, and you'll make that kind of money for 4 or 5 years. You think, I'll be set for life. And then you realize, no, the government's going to take 39% of it, the state's going to take 11%, you're going to have expenses. Then you're going to put your money in the stock market during a time period where in any other year it grew 10%. In the time period that I made my money, 90 to 2000, the stock market, if you put $1 million in the stock market, 90, you got $1 million in 2000. Yeah, so with that crash we had in 08, like that was another huge hit. So you just think that you know, it's just like, I mean, I'm not crying at the blues up here. I mean, I don't have to work if I want to, but you would think, you know, that several $1 million would. Like I watch these people win these scratch-offs. We watched that. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show. It's like Lottery Winners, Dream House, or whatever it is. It's on. I watch all those stupid House Hunter Internationals and all this stuff. You know. I love the people that they go to Paris and they're like, well, we'd like 3 bedrooms, something with a view, center city. We're probably looking to spend $1,100. I live in Daytona Beach. You can't get a 1 bedroom in the hood for $1,100. What are you doing? Who writes this show? It's not even realistic. I think I can find some options. This one's a little outside of Paris. It's in Newark.
So about 3 years ago, Scott Hall got inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he was billed under as Razor Ramon. And then a year afterwards, you got into the Hall of Fame billed as Kevin Nash, but they acknowledged that you were also Diesel. So my question was, why did they choose to bill Hall as Razor Ramon and then bill you as...
If you'll look at the Hall of Fame book,
Yeah.
It says Diesel.
Diesel on it.
My ring says Diesel on it. I know, I don't wear it. And so when they came to me, because they don't own Kevin Nash, you can't even trademark Kevin Nash. All you can do is register it while I'm under contract. So, and it's like anything else. If you're going to do a business, be smart to it, you know? And so when they said, we want to put Diesel in the Hall of Fame, I said, well, if you want to put Diesel in the Hall of Fame, go talk to Glenn Jacobs. Because Glenn Jacobs was Diesel also. I said, there's nobody else in the Hall of Fame that two people played. I said, now Kevin Nash, I said, that's me. I said, I was Diesel for 3 years, I've been Kevin Nash for 26. I said, so, I said, if you're gonna put Diesel in, I said, I'm not interested. I'm not gonna do it. Scott had been on the outs with him, you know, so Scott was just happy to, you know, to be inducted. He didn't care what he went under. You know, Scott said, oh, okay. You know, we'll say, hey, yo, anyways. I mean, you know, he didn't care. But, no, it was just one of those things where just, I don't know, I'm pig-headed. I don't think people look at me and, like, I'll go to New York sometimes and like somebody in the diner will say, hey, Diesel, but most people that run into me say Kevin Nash. You know, and they think of me as Kevin Nash, the wrestler, like Diesel the wrestler. So, if you say Diesel, I know you're somewhere in my age bracket. At least 40.
You had a second part?
Yes, sir. The second part was NWO is probably one of the most influential groups in the history of wrestling. So without a doubt, they should be going into the Hall of Fame soon. So besides the original three, do you think there would be any others that would be inducted into? I mean,
personally, because I was, you know, like when that thing took off, that first year was phenomenal. But Hulk didn't make any house shows. X-Pac was the third guy, Sean Waltman. And we always did like the Freebirds did, where it was Wolfpack rules, where we would wrestle and you never knew if it was going to be all three of us, two of us, whatever it was going to be. But you know, Sean did so much of the workload, you know, and was so intermittent. You know, he was. I mean, he should just be. It should be the four of us that go in. That's just me personally. You know, I mean, on top of that, he's the only guy that was a member of the NWO and DX. So it's just like, you know, I mean, he deserves to go in on his own. But, you know, I just think that he was one of the foundations that actually, you know, it's funny, like when he left the NWO and went to DX, that was that was a huge shift, you know, because he went back to WWE TV and bashed how bad things were at WCW. It was coming from a guy that was with that group, you know, so I thought that was pretty instrumental. So, you know, besides the fact he's one of my best friends, but I mean, I just think that, you know, that he deserves a lot more credit than he gets.
Who came up with Big Sexy?
I did. It was funny. I was laying in bed with my wife one night. Paul Newman came on the Tonight Show, and they were just, you know, they made a reference to how sexy this guy was. You know, Paul Newman was probably like 70 then. I'm thinking, if you went into a 7-Eleven and saw this flat-ass guy serving you a Slurpee, you would not say he's sexy. I said, but because you put the word sexy in front of anything, I said, then it's like, all right, they're deemed sexy. So I said, I'm going to call myself Big Sexy from now on, and I'll become sexy. I wasn't before then. Lo and behold, it worked. You know, you call yourself Big Sexy, like, oh, okay, I'll buy it. Then I said, well, I might as well go blonde, right? So I went blonde. I don't know. Sold merch.
WCW days, where he came out as outsiders and started growing from there to NWO. The factions kind of got subsided to the red, to the white, and then you had the Platinum World.
Yeah.
You know, did that take away from the individual characters from the wrestlers?
Yeah, it did. But if you look back at the Attitude Era for the WWE, it was just like, you know, Sky Duhati and Grandmaster, whatever Lawler's kid's name was, and Rikishi, like that. Like, it was, when wrestling gets red hot, it doesn't really matter. Everybody kind of is over by association, like you're on a hot program, and everybody, you know, the crowds are hot. It's now, you know, when the business is down, they're doing like 3,000 people at house shows. You know, this is when, you know, individual characters have to be really, really strong, because you're not walking into a building that's got 20,000 people. I mean, you know, I remember when I first went to WCW, it was like doing stand-up on a cruise ship. You know, you go to Philadelphia in front of 2,000 people, and they were there just to give you a hard time. They were there not to enjoy themselves. It'd be like, you know, you're green, you barely know what you're doing as it is, and you're being just harassed and heckled. You'd be like, they said, have a great day, get up, go to the gym, tan, hang out with your buddies, and put your gear on and go, oh, here we go. Here goes 15 minutes of hell. But, no, I mean, yeah, it got saturated, and it was, the thing was, it was like, how do we make this guy, you know, how do we make this guy mean more? Put an NWO shirt on. That was the easiest way that you could possibly, without, instead of building storyline for, you know, 12 weeks to make a character's, you know, character arc actually grow, you know, you just throw him a t-shirt on a Monday night, he's, you know, he's instantly over. So it was just the easiest way to do it. Retrospect absolutely killed it. You know, watered down with, you know, but it's almost like if anybody like is an Eagles fan, you know, like, you know, the Eagle reunion was like 63 guys on the stage. So, you know, it's like Molly Hatchet. We have Bike Week down at Daytona Beach. There's 11 different bands called Molly Hatchet playing at different bars at the same time. I was a harmonica guy at Molly Hatchet. I was the, you know, it's just like, how many Molly Hatchets were there? So I mean, once it got watered down, of course it was, you know, it was what it was, but there was so much beer being drank in that booking room and around the locker room. I think the t-shirt thing was just, that was part of it. You know, it was a pretty good little party we had for a couple of years on Ted's dime.
You were talking about like Jake Hills, James Wells, and you know, like WWE, you know, so do you feel it's more commercialized now, it's more of a business and a franchise than when you first started out?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, going to WrestleMania is like the Rolling Stones World Tour times 50. The amount of production, the amount of trucks, the amount of, I mean, it's just, from what we had when we first did Raw from the Manhattan Center, you know, one truck, you know, a handful of guys, our show, to what WrestleMania has become. WrestleMania comes to your town, it's like the Super Bowl. I mean, it brings in, you know, $100 million. I mean, it's a gigantic, you know. And, you know, I looked at the WrestleManias that I was a part of, and I think the largest crowd was the Anaheim Pond during my first run as Diesel, and I think that holds 23,000. They barely will run a Raw in a building that holds 23,000. You know, like I know that as soon as that Mercedes-Benz Dome got finished in Atlanta, they went, there's one. You know, so. No, they're going back. They just did. They did Orlando for the second time. Now we're back in New Orleans. The next one coming up. This is the second time for the Super Bowl. So they're looking for those giant venues that have a city that works around the tourism. Like Orlando works around tourism, so it's a world. You get a world market into WrestleMania. You know, New Orleans is the same thing. You know, you've got Bourbon Street and everything else, so you can jack off that crowd, you know, and push it into yours, and then all of a sudden, like you've hijacked that whole city and dumped it into that Superdome, you know, and then for the SummerSlam now, you know, we always ran the Garden. That was like the mecca for the WWE. I don't even think they run the Garden anymore. I mean, I just think they run that Barclays Center out in Brooklyn. They get that Friday night for NXT for free. I know they get it. No, they get it. They get a Saturday night for NXT for free, Sunday night for bless you, Sunday night for SummerSlam for free, Monday night for Raw for free, Thursday night SmackDown for free. They don't have to pay any rent on that building. I mean, that's just all profit. And the Garden, just the union help alone at the Garden, if you did a $190,000 house, you would walk with 112. You know, the union would take a little over 70 grand. It was just like, you can't move it. You know, if it's a union building, you go, they go, excuse me. Can I have back over here? Sure. You know, you can't do anything. So, you know, I mean, it's a huge, for me, I understand the network, you know. I get it, it's $10 a month. I buy the network. But when you break it down, that means like what I watched tonight is going to cost me 33 cents, but watching WrestleMania cost me 33 cents. So to me, like especially after the McGregor-Mayweather fight, I look at it and I say, if it was my business, I would do for the network a real nice hour package show and then give you the first 2 hours of Mania, but then the last 3 hours of Mania would be $49.99. I mean, that would be the only pay-per-view of the year, but I would keep Mania special. And if you do 1.5 million buys, that pays everybody. That pays everybody's salary in that company for the year on that one event. And then everything else is great. And then that jacks the guy's value up. Everybody makes a little bit more because there's, you know, you had $150 million to the pot, even though you split it, still $75 million extra that you don't have right now. It's a lot of money. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to know what it was like to be on set on the Punisher movie. I think the scene that you fought Thomas Jane, I think he got injured at the end of it.
I got stabbed, he got knocked out. Yeah, it was so, the crazy thing is, if you've watched the movie, the scene where I throw him, and then the cutaway is him going across the hallway into that brick wall. You know, and it's shot down the hallway, and then I come pick him up and I grab him and drag him. He's standing on the other side of this wall, and it's just, I mean, it's just, you know, drywall. And he just goes back like 8 feet and runs and just hammers through it. He's going so fast, he hits the wall across him, which is brick. I mean, it's a set, but it's actually brick, and you watch pieces of that brick come off. He hits it that hard. So I now come behind him, grab him, and go to pick him up, and I mean, he's just dead weight. So I'm dragging him down towards the thing, and they cut. I said, I just like let him down real slow. I said, he's out. He's out. So, no, it was, yeah, we got done, it was like, I remember, the makeup took, that burn thing took like 5 hours to put on me. So we wanted to get to that spot, and it was Friday, we worked 16 hours that day already. It's like 2:30 in the morning. And all we had left was, I'd already smashed his head in the refrigerator. We just had the seam bang and then bang through the wall. So the director says, you know, can you guys get there? And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and we both went, yeah, we can do this. And we got done that night, and when I got stabbed, it was like early, like that was like day 2 of us shooting. And you know, the knife was, both the knives looked the same. They were those butterfly knives, but one was retractable. But they had taken the edge off of it, so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't a pointed knife. It was still flat, but it was, you know, I mean, he's expecting this thing to retract. The guy that's in charge of the weapons is loving up on this Asian second AD. He's over like romancing the stone, He isn't looking at the butterfly knives. Thomas goes there, grabs it, goes like this, and goes, whoom. And I just kind of go, and I go, cut, and Thomas goes, I just stabbed him. And you just see the blood on my shirt just go. They went, clear the side. So they came over, and the guy looked at it, he said, do you want to go to the hospital? I said, no, it's on my bone right here. I said, I think if you got any of that skin glue stuff, we should be able to shut that up. So they, put the skin glue on, put some,
Rub some dirt on it.
yeah, put some butterflies on it. So they brought me in, and Gallan Hurd was the executive producer, who was the executive producer for Walking Dead, which I've never been on. So they bring me into this like trailer that's their office, and they're like, what can we do to make this right? I said, man, it's so hot. I said, if it's possible, we could just have beer at the end of the day, like some Miller Lite, like on ice. I said, and they said, will you sign off on that? I said, absolutely. So we're sitting there, and I said, and I said, make sure there's some for the crew too, not just the cast. So we get done that night, and they bring out the coolers, and I grab 2 beers, and we go up, and Thomas is in if you've ever been in like a set, like they have like the star makeup set, like it's 2 steps up in like its own little room, so if they want to, they can shut the door. So Thomas is like up here, and I said, yo, you want a beer? And he goes, yeah. He cracked it, he took a sip, his head went back, he goes, why haven't we been doing this the whole time? I said, because you didn't have a wrestler on set. I said, there's not a place on earth that a beer tastes better than the minute you get out of that ring. I mean, it's just like, it used to be the joke. Every time we go in the back and have that beer, me and Scott look at each other and go, best damn beer I've ever had. But, no, it was great. It was a good set. He trained really hard with the SEALs, and I mean, he was in excellent shape and had great attitude. I thought he was a great Punisher. The guy from Rome that did the next one, of course, I don't think anybody even acknowledges the Dolph Lundgren one. No, we don't talk about that.
So you never showed up in John Wick 2, and considering how that movie ended and everybody's out to get Keanu now, is there a chance you're going to come back for free?
I was praying, like, you write the script. I was imagining him leaving with the dog from the dock, as one ended, and then this black Escalade Suburban pull up and have Francis come pick him up, and then them kill Francis for helping out John Wick, and then that be the trigger. I didn't get much of a say-so right in the script. But I thought, the second one was great because they kind of explained the armor and everything else. So, I don't know, like they brought back a lot of people. It's not like I wouldn't jump into doing it to have a bigger role. But he's a really cool guy. Like Keanu Reeves is a chill dude. You see him during the day and he's got like a Russian hat on with the flaps down, an army coat. All of a sudden, it's just like, Keanu? All of a sudden, it's drinking a little tiny bottle of Coke with a cigarette. Like, wow. So you are John Wick.
Cool. We'll have to leave it there, but give it up one more time.